Welcome to this explainer. Mohammed Lubad, if you are tuning in, listen up, because this entire breakdown is custom-built just for you. Your goal? To walk into that room on June 29th and absolutely crush your high-stakes Level 1 Service Officer interview with Gary Lupart at iCity. We've taken your massive preparation document, all 40-plus technical and behavioral questions, the specific technical flows, the behavioral rules, the ITL basics, and we've totally distilled it into a dynamic, highly tactical playbook. By the end of this explainer, you are going to have supreme confidence in exactly what you need to say, and honestly, more importantly, exactly how you need to say it.
Okay, let's dive into this tactical mission briefing. We are going to systematically break down exactly what is needed to win. First, rules of engagement, then core IT concepts, followed by ITIL basics, troubleshooting, and finally, the golden OK rule.
Section 1, Rules of Engagement. Let's get right into the psychology of the interviewer.
Before we even touch a single technical command, we really need to understand what Gary actually cares about beyond just the tech. Look, at Level 1 support, technical skills, they can totally be taught, but attitude and how you behave under pressure, that cannot. Gary is secretly testing these 3 specific traits with literally every question he throws at you. He wants to know, are you reliable under pressure? Like when a Priority 1 crisis hits, do you just panic or do you fall back on a calm step-by-step method? He's also looking for patience. If an agent from the finance department is screaming on the phone because they can't print and they have a deadline in 30 minutes, are you going to stay human and empathetic? And finally, he's testing for long-term fit. Since you have a non-traditional business background, Gary really needs to know if you're actually going to stay in this L1 role and grow, or if you're just looking to jump ship at the first sign of something else.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how to handle that. To prove that long-term fit, you've got to use the 80-20 opener. Seriously, do not wait for Gary to find the gap in your resume. Name it proactively. Instead of doing a defensive bluff, just open by saying something like, I'll be direct. My main background is in business and IT risk, not traditional system administration, and I don't actually have a traditional IT diploma. But right after that, you use the contrast and pivot technique. You pivot instantly to your incredibly fast learning of B code, your rigorous documentation skills from KPMG, and that real-world user support of 150 people you handled at Digitrain. Honesty and a rock-solid learning plan will beat defensive bluffing every single time, for sure.
Moving on to Section 2, Core IT Technical Concepts. Let's unpack your technical arsenal.
All right, let's do a rapid-fire breakdown of exactly what Gary wants to hear, starting with DHCP. Think about it. How does a random laptop in a Brussels school automatically get an IP address? Well, it happens through the 4-step DORA process: discover, offer, request, and acknowledge. Basically, the DHCP server hands out the IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, and those vital DNS servers. Now, if DHCP fails, the PC ends up assigning itself that dreaded 169.254 AP IP address, and boom, the user loses all network access. So what's your weapon here? Simply run the commands ipconfig/release, and then follow it right up with ipconfig/renew.
Next up is DNS, the Domain Name System. The easiest way to explain this is to just think of DNS exactly like a giant phone book. Computers only talk in numbers, right? IP addresses. But we humans prefer easy names, like Google.b. DNS just translates that name into the number. So, if a user can ping an IP address like 8.8.8.8, but they absolutely cannot ping a website name, you know for a fact it's a DNS issue. And NSLOOKUP, that is your go-to command line weapon to test it.
Then, of course, we have the VPN, or Virtual Private Network. This is basically an encrypted tunnel for secure remote access, connecting a teleworking city agent's home directly into the city's internal network. Now, for iCity agents, VPN issues are literally daily tickets. And here is the golden nugget to drop for Gary. The #1 cause of VPN failure is actually not the software itself. It's usually an unapproved or misconfigured multi-factor authentication, or MFA. You know how it is. The agent got a new phone over the weekend and totally forgot to reconfigure Microsoft Authenticator. So checking that MFA change is your absolutely critical first step.
Moving over to identity management, we've got Active Directory. This is the big one, this central directory for managing all users, computers, and security groups at the city. When a stressed-out agent calls because they lock themselves out, you're going to open up ADUC, which stands for Active Directory Users and Computers. Unlocking accounts, forcing password changes at the next logon, managing those security groups. I mean, this is going to be the absolute bread and butter of your day-to-day as an L1 service officer.
And to actually manage all those hundreds of computers at scale, we use GPOs, or Group Policy Objects. These are basically security and configuration rules that get applied automatically across the network. For example, a GPO is what forces every single city computer to automatically lock its screen after 5 minutes of inactivity. To make sure you never forget the processing order of these policies, just anchor the acronym LSDO in your brain: local, site, domain, and finally, organizational unit. Just remember that the very last policy applied is always the strongest one.
Okay, Section 3, ITIL Basics and SLAs. Let's look at how you'll actually manage the work day to day.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how accurately classifying a ticket literally dictates your entire workflow in ServiceNow. It's a huge deal in the ITIL framework, but we're keeping it strictly bounded to your practical L1 reality. You've got an incident, which means something is actively broken and urgent, like a user is locked out or Teams has completely crashed. It is literally stopping work. A service request, on the other hand, well, that's just a planned, standard demand. Think of it like setting up a brand new laptop for Thomas, who's joining the mobility department on Monday. You just never, ever want to mix those two up.
And keep in mind, every single ticket comes with a ticking countdown timer based on its priority. That's your SLA, or service level agreement. Listen, the absolute golden rule of SLAs at iCity is this: escalate before it breaches. Gary wants to see proactive communication, not silent failures. If you've got a priority 2 ticket with a 4-hour SLA and you are sitting there at hour 3 with absolutely no solution in sight, you do not let that fail silently. You escalate it straight to level 2, and you provide full context, what you already tested, what you ruled out, and what the current impact is.
All right, moving to Section 4, Troubleshooting. Time to take that technical arsenal and apply it to the real world.
Let's tackle iCity's most common pain points. First up, Outlook. An agent calls you in a panic saying they cannot send or receive emails. You are going to walk Gary through this exact 4-step logic. Step 1, verify their internet connection, obviously. Step 2, check their mailbox quota, because if it's full, they simply can't send anything. Step 3, test Outlook Web Access, or OWA. Guys, this is the genius step. If OWA works perfectly fine in the web browser, it perfectly isolates the problem to their local computer, which seamlessly leads you to Step 4, fixing that local client, whether that means disabling some glitchy add-ins or, as a last resort, just totally rebuilding the Outlook profile.
Next scenario, let's set the scene for a massive Priority 1 crisis. Picture this. It's 1:40 p.m. The public city council live stream starts at exactly 2 p.m., and Teams just won't open on the room's AV system. Gary expects you to take calm, methodical steps here. First, check the Microsoft 365 Service Health Dashboard. Second, verify the local network with a simple ping. Third, and this is crucial because it's a P1, you escalate the AV issue immediately to the Level 2 specialist. You never try to be a hero and handle a P1 entirely alone. And finally, execute Plan B. You literally grab your own laptop, run in there, connect it via HDMI to the projector, and start that stream yourself. You save the public broadcast, you document the whole shebang, and you prove that you stay incredibly cool under pressure.
And that brings us to Section 5, the Golden OK Rule. This is the ultimate behavioral mastery for this interview.
We are now building to the climax of this explainer. You have all the technical skills dialed in, but the crucial point is this specific behavioral instruction. Literally, stop. Your absolute biggest trap in this interview is going to be over-explaining. When Gary asks you a question, you give a short, concise answer, you provide exactly one concrete example, and then you just stop talking.
You need to watch Gary's body language like a hawk. The second, and I mean the very second, Gary exhibits any of these behavioral triggers, your answer is officially over. If he says the word okay, if he nods repeatedly, or if he shifts in his seat or starts looking down at his notes, wrap it up. Stop mid-thought if you have to. If you just keep talking and talking after he says okay, it sends a huge red flag that you aren't listening, which is the exact opposite of what a good support officer does, right? Remember the formula. Answer, example, stop.
Mohammed, you've got the knowledge, you have the playbook, but the ultimate key to actually retaining this and walking in with total confidence is vocal repetition. Please do not just read your notes silently to yourself. Stand up, look right in the mirror, and practice your 45-second introduction out loud. Practice these troubleshooting flows out loud. Have a friend or family member literally say okay to you while you're speaking, and practice stopping instantly. Do this over and over before Monday morning. Go into that room, be honest, be methodical, and show Gary the incredibly reliable service officer you already are. But I'll leave you with this provocative thought.
Once you inevitably crush this level 1 interview and master these basics, how quickly will you be ready to start automating these workflows and making your move toward level 2? The playbook is yours. Go execute.